The star beast awakens in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, where starlight dimmed into the void. A beast unlike any other roamed. The creature, known only as the star beast, was a living colossus of plasma and energy, with an aura so intense it melted fleets into vapor. No species dared approach it until humanity came along. Dr. Elara Voss adjusted her neural visor as the hologram of the star beast filled the lab. Its towering form pulsed with vibrant hues, a swirling fusion of light and raw power. Every recorded interaction with it ended in destruction, but Elara's instincts told her there was more to the story. "Everyone sees a monster," she muttered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the lab's quantum processors. "I see a pattern." The data streams danced before her, revealing glimpses of behavior that didn't align with pure aggression. There were pauses, hesitations in its attacks, as though the creature itself was waiting for something, listening. "Elara, you're insane if you think you can reason with that thing," Commander Riven snapped as he barged into the room. His sharp military uniform clashed with the chaos of her research station. "It's killed millions. Entire systems are gone because of it. And we've tried to kill it back. How's that working out?" She shot back, gesturing to the hologram of the destroyed fleets. "This isn't a mindless predator. Look closer. It avoids unarmed vessels. It doesn't destroy planets without reason. It's not just attacking, it's reacting." Riven's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. The unspoken truth hung between them. Humanity's usual methods, overwhelming force, weren't working. Elara turned her attention back to the hologram. She zoomed in on the star beast's core, a glowing nexus that pulsed like a heartbeat. There was an elegance to it, a rhythm that felt almost alive. Her fingers danced over the console, bringing up ancient records. She scored myths and legends from various alien species, piecing together fragmented stories of a guardian of the stars. Some described it as a protector, others as a harbinger of destruction. The truth, she suspected, lay somewhere in between. "What are you planning?" Riven asked warily, crossing his arms. "To make contact," she said simply. His laugh was sharp and bitter. "You'll be dead before you can even say hello." "Maybe," she admitted, standing and pulling on her sleek exosuit. "But maybe not. We've tried everything else. Why not try understanding?" The commander's protests faded as she boarded the small, modified vessel she called Luna's Grace. It wasn't armed, it wasn't fast, but it was equipped with a neural interface designed to emit signals that mimicked brainwave patterns, her brainwave patterns. As the ship launched into the void, Elara felt the weight of her decision. This wasn't just about her. If she failed, humanity's last hope for peace with the star beast would vanish. If she succeeded, she would rewrite the narrative of fear that gripped the galaxy. Hours turned to days as she approached the coordinates of the star beast's last sighting. The silence of space was overwhelming, broken only by the hum of the ship's systems. She spent the time refining her signals, adjusting frequencies, and meditating to keep her nerves steady. Then, the darkness parted. The star beast loomed ahead, its form dwarfing her tiny ship. Tendrils of energy coiled around its body like living flames, and its eyes, or what she assumed were eyes, burned with the intensity of 1,000 suns. Elara's breath caught in her throat. Her console lit up with warning signals. The beast had detected her, and its energy levels were spiking. She swallowed hard, her fingers trembling as she activated the neural interface. Her thoughts became waves of signals, reaching out like tentative whispers. "I am not your enemy," she thought, over and over, sending the message through the interface. "I want to understand." The beast paused. It was the briefest of moments, but it was enough to send a surge of hope through her. It hadn't attacked. Not yet. Her hands moved quickly, amplifying the signals. She focused on her emotions, curiosity, compassion, and a genuine desire to communicate. The ship's systems translated these into a pulsating rhythm of light, mirroring the patterns she had studied in the star beast behavior. The creature responded. A low, resonating hum filled the ship, vibrating through her very bones. The beast's energy flared, creating patterns that danced across the void like a celestial symphony. It wasn't just reacting, it was communicating. Elara's eyes widened as she realized what was happening. She wasn't just observing the star beast. She was in a conversation with it. The pattern spoke of loneliness, of endless wandering through the stars, misunderstood and feared by all. "You're not a monster," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You're just alone." The star beast's energy dimmed, its form shrinking slightly as if the weight of its existence had lessened. It moved closer to her ship, its colossal presence now more awe-inspiring than terrifying. Elara's heart raced as she took a deep breath. The first step had been taken, but the journey was far from over. She knew the galaxy wouldn't easily accept the idea of taming the untamable. But for now, she had forged a fragile bond, a spark of hope in the vast darkness. And hope, as humanity had always proven, was a powerful thing. The bond beyond fear. The void felt alive now, a pulsating rhythm bridging the gap between Elara and the star beast. As Luna's grace floated in the shadow of the colossal creature, the lines of fear began to blur. She had crossed the first threshold, not as a conqueror, but as a curious mind extending a hand. But the galaxy wouldn't wait for her to build trust. Time was running out. The star beast hovered closer, its glowing core flickering with an intensity that sent chills through her. Elara adjusted the neural interface, translating the subtle pulses into patterns. Each flicker, hum, and shift in light painted an abstract picture of emotions too vast for words. "Loneliness," she muttered, watching the patterns form. "It's been alone for so long." Her ship's comms crackled to life, Commander Riven's voice breaking through the hum of the interface. "Elara, what's your status?" "Command's breathing down my neck. They think you're either dead or insane." Elara glanced at the holographic display of the star beast's energy patterns. It had slowed, its massive form radiating less aggression and more curiosity. "Tell them I'm fine," she said. "Better than fine. It's listening, Commander. It's trying to talk." Talk. Riven's disbelief was palpable. "That thing annihilated 2 fleets last month. It doesn't talk. It destroys." "Not this time," Elara replied, her voice firm. "There's a mind in there, a mind that's been waiting for someone to understand it. We've been attacking something we don't even try to comprehend." Riven's response was a long silence, followed by a heavy sigh. "You've got 12 hours before the fleet moves in. After that, they're blowing it to stardust, whether you're in the way or not." The line went dead, and Elara exhaled sharply. 12 hours to do the impossible. She turned back to the interface, focusing her thoughts. Loneliness. Understanding. Connection. The neural waves pulsed outward, soft and steady. The star beast responded, its energy forming spirals and loops that grew more complex with each exchange. It was like watching an alien symphony unfold before her eyes. Then something shifted. The spirals of light became jagged, erratic. A low vibration filled the ship, making her teeth chatter. The star beast's glow intensified, and Elara's console blared warnings. Something had agitated it. But what? "Calm down," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It's okay. I'm still here." She scanned the console and noticed an anomaly. A faint energy signature was closing in fast. Another ship. Before she could react, her comms lit up again. "Elara, this is Captain Duran of the Crimson Edge. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. The Star Beast is a Class X threat, and we are authorized to neutralize it." Elara's stomach turned. The Crimson Edge wasn't a standard military vessel. It was a Black Ops warship armed with experimental weaponry. She knew what they were capable of. "Captain Duran, listen to me," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "You can't engage it. It's not a threat unless we make it one." That's not your call to make, Doctor, Durand replied coldly. You've had your chance. Now we do things our way. The Crimson Edge fired a warning shot, an arc of plasma that streaked past the star beast. The creature recoiled, its energy flaring violently. The spirals turned to jagged waves, and the void itself seemed to tremble. No, 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 Elara shouted, frantically adjusting the neural interface. She projected calm, sending waves of reassurance to the star beast. It's okay. You're not alone. The creature's energy faltered, caught between rage and uncertainty. It turned its massive form toward the Crimson Edge, its core burning like a small star. Elara's heart pounded. If the beast retaliated, it wouldn't just destroy the ship, it would trigger an all-out war. Elara, what the hell is it doing? Revan's voice cut through the tension. It's scared, she snapped. We need to back off and let me handle this. The Crimson Edge fired again, this time grazing the beast's outer tendrils. The resulting explosion lit up the void, and the star beast roared, a soundless, deafening vibration that shook Elara's ship. She had to act fast. Elara, it's going to kill us all. Riven shouted over the comms. No, it won't, she said, her voice resolute. She closed her eyes, focusing every ounce of her being into the neural interface. Trust. Calm. Peace. The ship's systems strained under the intensity of the signals, but the star beast hesitated. Its energy patterns flickered, softening ever so slightly. I know you're afraid, Elara whispered, but you don't have to be. Not anymore. The beast turned toward her ship, its glowing core dimming. The tendrils of energy withdrew, coiling protectively around its form. It was listening again. Elara's comms lit up once more, this time with Durand's voice. What the hell did you just do? I showed it trust, she said simply. Something you clearly don't understand. The Crimson Edge pulled back, but the tension remained. Elara knew she had bought herself only a little more time. The star beast wasn't just a creature. It was a force of nature, one that required more than words to truly understand. As the beast's energy pattern stabilized, Elara felt a spark of hope reignite. For the first time in its existence, the star beast wasn't alone. And for the first time, Elara realized just how far she was willing to go to protect it. The clock was ticking, but she wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. Voices in the void between the ships and the star beast buzzed with tension, an uneasy silence filled with the weight of unspoken decisions. Elara knew that any misstep could reignite the chaos. But the star beast, colossal and shimmering with otherworldly energy, was calm now, a miracle she had earned but had yet to fully understand. Elara's hands hovered over the neural interface. She needed to push further, to prove to both the beast and the galaxy that communication was possible. But her time was running out, and the looming presence of the Crimson Edge reminded her that not everyone was willing to wait. Star Beast, she whispered, not knowing if it could truly understand her words. She focused her thoughts, sending waves of curiosity and trust through the interface. Why do you fight? What are you protecting? The response wasn't immediate, but then the patterns returned. Pulses of light and rhythm moved in intricate loops, and Elara struggled to decode them. Her neural visor translated the signals into abstract emotions. Pain, betrayal, loss. Her breath caught. You've been hurt before, she murmured. You're not a destroyer. You're a survivor. The star beast's core flared briefly, as if acknowledging her words. The spirals of energy around it slowed, their movement almost hypnotic. Elara's heart swelled with cautious optimism. This wasn't just a creature lashing out. It was a sentient being with a story, one that had been buried beneath fear and misunderstanding. Her comms crackled again, and Commander Riven's voice broke through. Elara, what's happening? Command wants answers. Now. She hesitated, knowing how fragile the moment was. It's trying to communicate, she said. I think it's been attacked before, maybe even hunted. Hunted? Raven's skepticism was palpable. By who? Us? Not just us, Elara replied, her mind racing. The patterns suggest a history, something ancient. This thing has been alive for far longer than we've been around. Before Riven could respond, another voice cut in. Captain Joran. Dr. Voss, your theories are irrelevant. Command has authorized a full strike if you can't neutralize the threat. Elara clenched her fists. If you attack, you'll prove its fears right. You'll make it impossible to end this without bloodshed. Joran's cold laugh echoed through the comms. That's not my problem. The Crimson Edge began charging its weapons again, and the Star Beast reacted instantly. Its energy spiraled outward, a defensive barrier that sent shockwaves rippling through space. Elara's ship shook violently, alarms blaring as systems struggled to stabilize. Stand down, she shouted, her voice raw with desperation. You're provoking it. But Joran was deaf to her pleas. The warship's cannons fired, unleashing a barrage of plasma that slammed into the Star Beast's shield. The impact was blinding, and for a moment, Elara thought the creature might retaliate. Its core burned with an intensity that made her visor flicker, but it held its ground. It's holding back, she realized. It doesn't want to fight. Elara adjusted the neural interface, amplifying her signals. She focused on one thought. Trust me. I will protect you. The Star Beast hesitated, its energy flickering uncertainly. Then, to her astonishment, it responded. The pulses were sharper now, more deliberate, and her visor translated a single concept. Help. Help. She repeated, her voice trembling. You need help. The patterns shifted again, this time forming a cascading wave of symbols that felt like a map, a trail through the stars. It pointed to a distant region of space, far beyond known territories. Elara's hands moved instinctively, saving the data. What are you doing? Riven demanded. Elara, talk to me. It's asking for help, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. There's something out there, something it's trying to reach. Before Riven could respond, Joran's ship launched another volley. The Star Beast roared, the soundless vibration rippling through the void like a cry of anguish. Elara's heart pounded as the creature's energy surged, its patience wearing thin. No more, she whispered, determination hardening her resolve. She activated her ship's thrusters, maneuvering Luna's grace between the Star Beast and the warship. Elara, what the hell are you doing? Riven shouted. Stopping this madness, she replied. If we keep attacking, we'll lose the chance to make peace. Her ship's comms opened to Joran. Stand down, Captain. You're about to ignite a war none of us can win. You're out of your depth, Doctor, Joran sneered. Move your ship, or I'll move it for you. Elara's jaw tightened. You fire on me, and the Star Beast will see that as an attack. Do you really want to test its limits? The silence that followed was thick with tension. Finally, Joran cursed under his breath. You've got 10 minutes. After that, I take control. Elara turned back to the interface, her mind racing. The Star Beast's patterns were becoming frantic, its core pulsing erratically. It was afraid, not of Joran, but of losing its chance to escape. She focused all her thoughts on the creature, sending waves of calm reassurance. I'm here. I'll help you find what you're looking for. The Star Beast's energy stabilized, and its glowing tendrils reached out tentatively toward her ship. It was a gesture of trust, fragile yet profound. Elara felt a lump in her throat as she realized the magnitude of the moment. Hang in there, she whispered. We're not done yet. As the Star Beast began to move, guiding her ship toward the unknown region of space, Elara knew she was venturing into uncharted territory. Whatever lay ahead, she would face it head-on. Because the Star Beast wasn't just a creature to her anymore. It was an ally. And she would protect it, no matter the cost. The Star Map's secret. The Star Beast led Elara through the abyss of uncharted space, its immense form glowing like a living constellation. The coordinates it had shared pointed to a region beyond even humanity's furthest explorations, a void steeped in mystery. Elara's ship, Luna's Grace, followed the creature's lead, its sensors working overtime to chart the unknown terrain. Elara leaned forward in her chair, the neural interface humming with faint warmth against her temples. Every pulse and flicker from the star beast told a story, though much of it was still beyond her ability to decipher. Her thoughts echoed with questions. What lies ahead? Why is it asking for help? Behind her, the tension hadn't subsided. The Crimson Edge and Commander Riven's fleet trailed at a cautious distance, weapons armed but silent. It was a fragile peace, one Elara knew could shatter at the slightest provocation. Elara, do you have any idea where you're going? Riven's voice came through the comms, strained with frustration. No, she admitted, her gaze fixed on the swirling patterns emanating from the star beast. But it does. You're putting everything on blind faith, Riven said. The higher-ups think you're chasing a death sentence. Maybe I am, she replied, a faint smile tugging at her lips. But if this works, Commander, it won't just save lives. It'll change everything. Riven grumbled something unintelligible and cut the line. Elara sighed, returning her attention to the star beast. Its movements had slowed, and its tendrils of light stretched outward as though scanning the void. It was searching for something. The sensors of Luna's Grace pinged sharply. Elara glanced at the console, her eyes widening. A massive structure emerged from the darkness. A colossal ring, ancient and dormant. Its surface etched with glowing glyphs that shimmered faintly. What is that? She whispered. The star beast let out a low, resonating hum, its tendrils curling toward the structure like a greeting. Elara's neural interface translated the hum into a single word: home. Her heart skipped a beat. This is where you come from. The creature pulsed again, confirming her suspicions. It circled the ring slowly, its light intensifying as it interacted with the glyphs. The structure responded, flickering to life as streams of energy cascaded across its surface. The comms crackled to life once more. Elara, what are you seeing? Riven asked, his voice tight. An ancient gateway, she said, awe creeping into her tone. I think it's part of the star beast's origin. Maybe even its creator's work. Joran's voice interrupted, cold and sharp. If that thing activates some kind of weapon, we're taking it down. No second chances. Elara ignored him, focusing on the star beast. It wasn't activating a weapon. It was calling out. The energy patterns shifted, forming intricate loops that seemed almost mournful. The glyphs glowed brighter, casting the void in ethereal light. Then something answered. A pulse rippled through the gateway, faint but unmistakable. Elara's console lit up with readings as the structure began to shift, its massive rings rotating in perfect harmony. The star beast's energy surge, a vibrant cascade of light that intertwined with the glyphs. Elara, what's happening? Riven demanded. It's opening a portal, she said, her voice hushed. I think it's been trying to reach this place all along. The comms exploded with frantic chatter as the portal began to form, a swirling vortex of light and shadow that seemed to stretch into infinity. Elara's ship trembled as waves of energy radiated outward. Dr. Voss, step back now, Joran barked. We can't let it. His words were cut off as the vortex stabilized, revealing a shimmering view of another dimension. Elara's eyes widened at the sight. A starfield unlike any she'd seen before, filled with crystalline structures and vibrant nebulae. It was breathtaking. The star beast paused at the threshold, its massive form trembling. Elara felt the tension through the neural interface, a mix of longing and fear. It's afraid, she realized. Afraid of what it will find, or won't find, on the other side. You can do this, she whispered, projecting her thoughts through the interface. You've been searching for so long. Don't stop now. The creature's energy flared, and with a final pulse, It crossed the threshold. The portal rippled as it passed through, and for a moment, everything was still. Elara held her breath, watching the vortex shimmer. Then the star beast's hum returned, fainter but filled with emotion. It was calling to her. "Elara, don't even think about it," Riven shouted, but she was already moving. "If it trusts me, I trust it," she said, steering Luna's Grace toward the portal. The comms erupted with protests, but Elara shut them off. She focused on the star beast's signal, following its trail into the unknown. The ship trembled as it entered the vortex, and for a moment, all was darkness. Then light burst around her. The new dimension unfolded like a living painting, vibrant and surreal. Massive crystalline towers floated in the void, connected by glowing strands of energy. The air, if it could be called that, was alive with a soft, resonating hum that seemed to echo the star beast's song. The creature hovered ahead, its tendrils exploring the strange world. It pulsed with a sense of awe and recognition, as though it had finally found its place. Elara's neural interface lit up with new patterns, and for the first time, she felt something beyond raw emotion. It was a memory, a glimpse into the star beast's past. She saw flashes of its creation, its role as a guardian, and the moment it was cast out into the void. "You were protecting this place," she murmured, "and they abandoned you." The star beast's glow dimmed slightly, a somber acknowledgement. Elara's chest tightened. She had uncovered only a fraction of the truth, but it was enough to understand the creature's pain. Before she could process it further, the glyphs on her console shifted. A warning flashed across the screen. "Dimensional instability detected." "Elara, what have you done?" Riven's voice crackled faintly through the static. She ignored him, her focus locked on the star beast. It pulsed urgently, signaling danger. The portal behind them was destabilizing, and if it collapsed, they'd be trapped. "Let's go," she whispered, her voice steady. "We're not losing you now." The star beast turned, its tendrils wrapping protectively around her ship as they raced back toward the portal. The crystalline dimension blurred, and with one final surge of light, they emerged back into familiar space. The gateway flickered, its energy fading, but the star beast's glow remained strong. It had found its home, and its ally, and Elara knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy responds. The return from the shimmering portal was not quiet. Space rippled with residual energy, a cosmic echo of the star beast's journey back home. As the gateway dimmed behind them, Elara's comms lit up with frantic messages from both Commander Riven and Captain Joran. Their voices overlapped in chaos, but Elara barely noticed. Her focus was locked on the creature that had, against all odds, trusted her. The star beast floated closer to Luna's Grace, its tendrils of light curling protectively around the small vessel. Its glow had softened, its once volatile energy now radiating calm. Elara could feel its gratitude through the neural interface, a silent thank you that resonated deeper than words ever could. "Elara, are you insane?" Riven's voice finally broke through the noise, sharp with panic. "What just happened? What did you bring back?" "I didn't bring anything back," she said, her tone calm but firm. "It's still the same star beast, but now it has a purpose." "A purpose?" Joran's voice cut in, dripping with sarcasm. "You think that thing's a hero now. It's a walking catastrophe. Command will never let it roam free." Elara's jaw tightened. "It's not roaming. It's protecting." Her words hung in the air, met with silence. She could feel the weight of their disbelief, the sheer impossibility of what she was suggesting. But she didn't care. She had seen the star beast's past, felt its pain and purpose. It wasn't a destroyer, it was a guardian, and now it had a reason to stand with her. Suddenly, her console beeped with a priority signal. It wasn't from Riven or Joran, but from the Galactic Council, a transmission marked as urgent. Elara's stomach nodded. She activated the feed, and the holographic image of a counselor appeared, their features sharp and imposing. "Dr. Voss," the counselor began, their voice cold and measured. "Your actions have caused significant alarm across the galaxy. Reports indicate you've not only engaged with the Star Beast, but may have formed some kind of alliance." "That's correct," Elara said, lifting her chin. "The Star Beast isn't a threat unless provoked. It's intelligent, and it wants to protect what remains of its kind." The counselor's expression darkened. "And you believe the galaxy will simply accept this creature as a protector? Its history of destruction is undeniable." Elara met their gaze. "Its history of destruction was a response to fear and aggression. Ours, not its own. If we continue treating it as an enemy, we'll make it one. But if we trust it, we gain an ally unlike any other." The counselor hesitated, their eyes flicking to the data streaming from Luna's Grace. "And what proof do you have of its loyalty?" Before Elara could answer, the Star Beast moved. Its colossal form shifted, positioning itself between her ship and the looming fleet behind her. Its tendrils of light flared, forming a barrier that pulsed with protective energy. Elara smiled faintly. "There's your proof. It's protecting me. And by extension, all of us. If it wanted to destroy, it could have done so already." The counselor's hologram flickered as they processed her words. "We will consider your proposal," they said finally, their tone begrudging. "But be warned, the galaxy does not forgive easily." As the transmission ended, Elara exhaled a shaky breath. The first step was done, but she knew this battle was far from over. Convincing the Council was one thing. Convincing the countless species who had suffered at the hands of the Star Beast's misunderstood fury was another. She turned her attention back to the creature. Its energy had stabilized, the chaotic flickers replaced by a steady rhythmic glow. Through the neural interface, she felt a sense of determination emanating from it. "You're not just a survivor anymore," she whispered. "You're a symbol, and we're going to show the galaxy what that means." But as she spoke, her sensors picked up a new threat. Multiple ships were entering the system, ships not from the Galactic Council, but from rogue factions that had long sought the Star Beast's destruction. Their weapons were armed, their intentions clear. "Riven," she said sharply into the comms. "We've got incoming." "We see them," he replied. "Looks like mercenaries. Probably hired to take the Star Beast down before the Council makes a decision." Elara's blood ran cold. "We can't let them. If it fights back, we lose everything." "Easier said than done," Riven muttered. "What's your plan?" Elara looked at the Star Beast, its tendrils already flaring in preparation for battle. Through the interface, she projected a single thought. "Wait." The creature hesitated, its energy flickering uncertainly. Elara focused harder, sending waves of reassurance. "Trust me." The Star Beast dimmed, its light retreating as it prepared to defend without attacking. Elara turned her attention to the incoming ships. They wouldn't hesitate to fire, and she had mere seconds to act. She opened a broad frequency channel, her voice firm and commanding. "This is Dr. Elara Voss. Stand down immediately. Any attack on the Star Beast will be seen as an act of war against the Galactic Council." The rogue ships didn't respond, but they slowed, their weapons still locked on the creature. Elara's heart pounded as she prepared her next move. She activated her ship's projection systems, broadcasting the Star Beast's peaceful patterns across the system. "You're not fighting a monster," she said, her voice echoing through the comms. "You're fighting a protector, a being that has suffered enough. If you fire, you're proving that the galaxy's greatest weakness is its inability to understand." The mercenaries hesitated. One by one, their ships began to pull back, their weapons powering down. Elara exhaled, her body sagging with relief. She had bought them time. Just enough to solidify the Star Beast's new role in the galaxy. As the rogue fleet disappeared into the void, Riven's voice came through the comms, laced with grudging respect. "You're either the bravest or the craziest person I've ever met." Elara smiled faintly. "Maybe both." The Star Beast pulsed gently, its light intertwining with the glow of her ship. It wasn't just her ally now, it was her partner in reshaping the galaxy's future. And together, they would prove that even the most feared beings could find redemption. The Star Beast's promise. The galaxy had begun to buzz with the ripple effects of Elara's actions. News of her alliance with the Star Beast spread like wildfire, igniting debates, fears, and hopes across countless civilizations. On some worlds, she was hailed as a visionary, a human who dared to rewrite the rules of interstellar engagement. On others, she was condemned as a reckless gambler, playing with the safety of the galaxy. Elara sat in the cockpit of Luna's Grace, her gaze fixed on the colossal figure of the Star Beast outside. Its tendrils glowed faintly, a subdued rhythm that mirrored its calm yet watchful state. Through the neural interface, she felt a quiet but powerful bond, one that transcended words. "You've always been alone, haven't you?" she murmured, her thoughts reaching out to the creature. "But you're not alone anymore." The Star Beast pulsed gently, its light washing over her ship like a wave of gratitude. For all its immense power, it carried an almost childlike vulnerability, a being created to protect, yet misunderstood and cast away. Her comms buzzed, breaking the quiet. Riven's voice came through, tinged with tension. "Elara, we've got a situation." "What now?" she asked, exhaustion creeping into her tone. "The Galactic Council is convening a live broadcast," he said. "They're calling it an emergency summit. Word is, they're deciding whether to recognize the Star Beast as a sentient ally or declare it a universal threat." Elara's stomach tightened. "How long do I have?" "An hour, maybe less," Riven replied. "They want you to speak." She exhaled slowly, the weight of the galaxy pressing down on her shoulders. This was her chance to sway them, to prove that the Star Beast was more than the destruction it had been forced to cause. But she knew the Council wouldn't be easily convinced. Her thoughts were interrupted by a faint vibration. The Star Beast had moved closer, its tendrils brushing against the ship like a gentle embrace. Through the interface, she felt a surge of determination. "You believe in me, don't you?" she whispered, smiling despite herself. "Well, let's not let you down." The Galactic Council's chamber was a spectacle of light and sound, a vast arena where holographic projections of representatives filled the space. Elara's image appeared at the center, her figure dwarfed by the sheer scale of the assembly. Behind her, a live feed of the Star Beast loomed, its glowing form casting an eerie but mesmerizing presence. "Dr. Voss," the lead counselor began, their voice amplified and echoing. "You stand before us as the advocate for a creature that has brought devastation to our galaxy. Convince us why we should see it as anything other than a threat." Elara took a deep breath, her voice steady but impassioned. "Counselors, the Star Beast's actions are not acts of malice. They are acts of survival. For centuries, we've attacked it out of fear without ever trying to understand it. But in the short time I spent with it, I've seen something we all missed: intelligence, emotion, and a desire to protect." The chamber buzzed with murmurs, skeptical voices mingling with a few nods of agreement. Elara pressed on. "The Star Beast is not just a creature, it's a sentinel. It was created to guard something ancient and precious that we've yet to fully comprehend. Its so-called attacks were defenses, responses to provocation. When left unthreatened, it showed compassion and restraint." The lead counselor raised a hand, silencing the room. "And what of the countless lives lost? What assurance can you provide that it won't turn on us again?" Elara hesitated, then turned to the live feed of the Star Beast. "Let it speak for itself." Gasps rippled through the chamber as the Star Beast's energy patterns intensified. Elara activated her neural interface, translating the rhythmic pulses into a visual display that filled the room. The patterns wove together, forming shapes and colors that evoked emotions: sorrow, longing, and hope. "It doesn't want war," Elara said softly. "It wants peace." The chamber fell silent. Even the harshest critics couldn't deny the raw emotion emanating from the Star Beast's patterns. For the first time, they weren't looking at a monster. They were looking at a being. As the council deliberated, Elara returned to Luna's grace, her nerves frayed. The star beast hovered nearby, its light dim but steady. She reached out through the interface, projecting her thoughts. We did everything we could. Now we wait. The creature responded with a pulse of reassurance, its tendrils curling protectively around the ship. Elara smiled faintly, the bond between them stronger than ever. Her comms buzzed again. This time, it was Riven. Elara, the council's vote is in. She braced herself. And they've agreed, he said, his voice tinged with disbelief. The star beast is to be recognized as a sentient being under galactic law. But there's a catch. Her stomach sank. What catch? They wanted to prove itself, Riven said. There's a rogue fleet attacking a neutral colony on the fringe. The council is sending a task force, and they want the star beast to join. Elara's heart pounded. This wasn't a request. It was a test. One failure, and the fragile trust she built could crumble. She turned to the star beast, its light flickering with uncertainty. It's your choice, she said, her voice gentle. But if you go, you can show them what you're really meant to be. The creature pulsed faintly, its glow intensifying as it made its decision. Elara felt a surge of pride and hope. Together, they would face whatever came next. As Luna's grace and the star beast prepared to join the task force, Elara knew they were standing at the edge of a new chapter. The galaxy was watching, and the future depended on what happened next. The star beast's redemption. The rogue fleet loomed over the neutral colony of Asteris Prime, its ships dark and bristling with weaponry. Fires already raged across the planet's surface as desperate distress signals echoed into the void. The task force arrived in tight formation, a shimmering wall of defensive vessels, but it was clear they were outgunned. And then the star beast appeared. Its colossal form emerged from the darkness, glowing brighter than ever before. Tendrils of energy rippled around it, casting waves of light across the battlefield. The rogue fleet hesitated, their ships pausing mid-formation as the creature's immense presence dominated their sensors. Aboard Luna's grace, Elara sat at her console, the neural interface alive with energy. She could feel the star beast's emotions through the connection. Determination, focus, and a quiet but powerful resolve. This wasn't just a battle for survival. This was a chance to prove itself. Task Force to Star Beast. Commander Riven's voice crackled over the comms. You're clear to engage, but remember, this is about defense, not destruction. The Star Beast pulsed in acknowledgement, its tendrils coiling as it surged forward. The rogue fleet opened fire, streams of plasma and railgun projectiles hurtling toward the creature. But the Star Beast's energy flared, forming a shimmering barrier that absorbed the attacks like waves crashing against a cliff. Elara's heart raced as she watched the display. The Star Beast wasn't retaliating with brute force. Instead, it moved with precision, targeting the fleet's weapon systems and disabling them with bursts of controlled energy. Each pulse was calculated, disarming ships without destroying them. It's holding back, Riven said, amazement creeping into his voice. It's actually holding back. The Star Beast turned its attention to the largest of the rogue ships, a command vessel bristling with heavy artillery. The ship's weapons fired relentlessly, but the creature pressed on, its tendrils weaving through the onslaught. With a final surge, it emitted a wave of energy that enveloped the vessel, shutting down its systems entirely. The command ship drifted powerless, its weapons silenced. Cheers erupted across the task force comms, but Elara wasn't celebrating yet. Through the neural interface, she felt a flicker of unease from the Star Beast. It wasn't over. Her console beeped sharply, and her stomach dropped. A hidden vessel, cloaked and heavily armed, was moving into position near the colony. It was targeting the surface, a final act of devastation aimed at the planet itself. Riven, there's another ship, she shouted. It's cloaked and targeting the colony. "We're too far to intercept," Riven replied, his voice tight. "Can the star beast reach it?" Elara turned to the creature, her thoughts racing. "You see it, don't you? You can stop it." The star beast pulsed brightly, its energy surging as it turned toward the hidden threat. With a burst of speed, it raced across the battlefield, its tendrils glowing with intensity. The cloaked ship fired, a beam of destructive energy streaking toward the colony below. The star beast intercepted. Its body absorbed the beam, the energy dispersing across its form in a dazzling display of light. The rogue ship's cloak flickered, revealing its position, and the task force moved in, disabling it with precision strikes. The colony was safe. Back on Asteris Prime, the aftermath of the battle was a scene of relief and awe. Civilians emerged from shelters to watch as the star beast hovered in the sky, its glow soft and peaceful. It had become a symbol, not of fear, but of hope. Elara stood outside Luna's grace, her gaze fixed on the creature. The neural interface buzzed gently, carrying a single resonant thought from the star beast: home. She smiled, her chest tightening with emotion. "You've earned it," she said softly. The Galactic Council's official transmission arrived soon after, declaring the star beast a recognized guardian of the galaxy. The decision was met with mixed reactions across the stars, but for those who had witnessed the events firsthand, there was no doubt. The star beast was more than a weapon. It was a protector. As the task force prepared to depart, Riven approached Elara, his expression unreadable. "You did it," he said finally. "I didn't think it was possible, but you proved us all wrong." Elara chuckled, though her eyes remained on the star beast. "It wasn't just me. It was always more than we understood." "And now?" Riven asked. "What happens next?" Elara turned to him, her smile tinged with determination. "Now we rebuild, and we learn. The star beast has shown us what's possible when we choose understanding over fear. Let's not waste that lesson." The star beast let out a final resonant hum, its glow brightening as it began to ascend. It was returning to its purpose, to the stars it had been created to protect. But it wasn't leaving alone. It carried with it the bonds it had forged, proof that even the most feared beings could find acceptance and belonging. As it disappeared into the cosmos, Elara felt a quiet pride. The galaxy had changed, and so had she. This wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. The legend of the star beast would echo across the stars for generations to come, and at the heart of that legend would be the human who dared to see beyond the fear, forging a bond that would redefine the galaxy forever.